We are going to begin from the beginning. And this is the making and the way of the menorah, how it was built, how it was made. A miksha zav, it was hammered out from gold, ad yirecha ad pircha, from its leg, from its foot, until its blossom. Miksha, it is hammered out. Goim. But Tzarech Lavan said the Rebbe asked, we need to understand. Parshas Ba'aloischa is not about the construction of the menorah. It's dealing with the kindling of the menorah. That was Aaron HaKohen was told, this is what you do to kindle the menorah. Ma'asa menorah, the making of the menorah, the building of the menorah, Kvarnes Bar Leil, Sefer Shmois was already explained in Chumash Shmois, over there in Parshas Truma, where it talks about the making of the Mishkan, the making of the Kalim. It speaks about how you made the menorah with all the details over there. So therefore, why does he say over here, where it's talking about the kindling of the menorah, why does he go into the making of the menorah, how the menorah was made? An additional question is, he doesn't even explain the building of the menorah, even though he calls it v'zeh ma'isa menorah. This is how you make the menorah, but it only says one detail of how you make the menorah. That from its foot till its blossoms, it's all hammered out from one piece of gold. So why does he even say this is how the menorah is made? That doesn't even cover the making of the menorah. But the Rebbe says we must say specifically this detail of the making of the menorah that was hammered out from one piece. It matters for what it says earlier about the kindling of the menorah. What does it say earlier? El mul pnei ha-menorah ya'iru shivas ha-neiros, that towards the face of the menorah, the 7 candles will be lit. Ukel chamon, as he will explain further on, the connection between the two. Hine ha-Torah in Nitzchis Torah is everlasting. Mazem moving for this understood. Shagam b'zman she'ein Beis HaMikdash kaim. Also in the time when the Beis HaMikdash did not stand, there are these concepts in the service of a person, the menorah being hammered out from one piece, from its foot till its blossom. We need to understand the idea of what is the lesson, the everlasting teaching of this at present. So the Rebbe says in the second paragraph, the idea behind this is like the Alter Rebbe explains, the menorah nikras knes Yisrael. Menorah is how Knesset Yisrael is called. What is the level of Knesset Yisrael? The collection of all the Yisrael. I will soon explain the details of that. She's Sfiras HaMalchus. Sfiras HaMalchus is called Knesset Yisrael, and the Kras Knesset Yisrael for the reason Al Shem Sheknesses Besoicha Bechinas Alakus Hanikar Yisrael Bechinas. It gathers, it collects inside of it the level of godliness. That's called Yisrael, the Zeir Anpin. More specifically, Yisrael, which is Yaakov, is associated with the Feres, the center, and includes the entire Zeir Anpin. So Knesset Yisrael, that which collects and takes in it Yisrael, that which receives the level of Yisrael, of Zeir Anpin, that is Malchus. And in a similar vein, so too Knesset Yisrael down here below is called Knesset Yisrael. Because Knesset Yisrael is the root of all the Neshamas Yisrael, as called Neshamas Yisrael. It includes all the Neshamas Yisrael. Malchus is the source of all the Neshamas Yisrael, so it's called Knesset Yisrael in both directions. Knesset Yisrael because it collects and has in it and contains in it the level of Yisrael de La'elam, the level of Zeir Anpin. And it's called Knesset Yisrael because it includes in it all the Neshamas Yisrael. It's the source for all the Neshamas Yisrael. This is what it says in the Haftorah this week from Zechariah about the menorah. Zed Dvar Hashem El Zerubbabel. This is the word of Hashem to Zerubbabel. In the previous Maamar we said Dvar Hashem. We mentioned in the Shiur that Dvar Hashem is the level of Malchus. What is the significance of Zerubbabel? The Zerubbabel hu Anasi. Zerubbabel is the head of Klal Yisrael. He was from the line of David HaMelech, so he was in place, and he was of David HaMelech and the leader of Klal Yisrael at that time, even though technically there was no king, but he was a Nasi. And we know Rashi explains in Chumash that the Nasi is equal to and contains in it everyone. The Hainu, what does this mean? That Zerubbabel, being the Nasi, Shu Koil Kol Neshamas Yisrael, includes all the Neshamas of the Yidden. So that's why the menorah, which is in the level of Knesset Yisrael, that includes all the Neshamas, so it's also discussed in the idea that it's the word of Hashem to Zerubbabel, because Zerubbabel similarly contains in him all the Neshamas of Yisrael. The avoid that locks on menorah in his Bible, the Torah Reish Parsha saying the avoid of kindling the menorah was explained the Torah at the beginning of our parsha. Shenyanahu lahalos is called Shivas Asugim the Bnei Yisrael. The point is to elevate all the 7 different types of the Yidden, like it says, when you will raise up the Neiris. It doesn't say when you will light or some other similar expression. Towards the face of the menorah, the 7 candles shall shine. The Shivas HaNeiris Heim Zayin Madreges V'Avodas Hashem. The 7 candles are 7 levels in the service of Hashem. V'Avodas Hadlokas HaNeiris, and the avodah of kindling the neiris is l'haloisam el mul pnei ha-menorah, to raise them up towards the face of the menorah. What does it mean that you're raising them up towards the face of the menorah? The hainu b'chinas pnimius ratzna elyon. The idea that it says pnei ha-menorah, pnei means the pnimius, the inner level of Hashem's will. B'atam shekol shivas hamadregis the hasugim b'nei Yisrael mis'alim b'shavel mul pnei ha-menorah. How come? Why is that all the 7 different types, which is hinted by the 7 branches of the menorah, are equally raised up towards the face of the menorah? Because even though externally they are 7 types of Yidden, 7 types of avodah, 7 types of service of Hashem, still in all, internally, essentially, at their core, they're really, all the 7 types of Yidden are really one level. This is also why the nevuah of the menorah was also said to Zerubbabel, because the name Zerubbabel indicates this idea that all the Yidden are really one level. The Zerubbabel who gam oisius zera bolu. The word Zerubbabel can be made up of 2 words. It is mixed seeds. The seeds are mixed together. Shebol bezera adam bezera behema. It is mixed in the seed of man and the seed of an animal. Shem shnei hasugim haklolim b'neshamas Yisrael. These are 2 general types of neshamas. There's zera adam. That's a higher level of neshamas. That's like the neshamas of tzaddikim. They have the no battles. And the Zera Behema, that's the Neshamas of the Beinim and below. Over there in that Maamar where it talks about on Parsh Mishpatim, it talks about Eved Ivri and Eved Kanani and so on. So it talks about the different levels. Kisikna Eved Ivri, there's Moshe Rabbeinu who's Zera Adam, and then he has to acquire the Eved, he has to elevate the level of Zera Behema. So even though there are different types of Yidden in general, you have these 2 types, the Zera Adam and Zera Behema. In a similar vein, you have this broken down to 7 different levels of service. Still in all, Blulim Yachad, that's Zerubbabel. they are mixed up together, Shem B'Shava, that they are equal. Concerning this, the pasuk explains the reason for the matter. Why are they mixed up together? This is the action of the menorah. This is the making of the menorah. This is how the menorah was built. That it's hammered out gold to its foot and to its blossom. It's entirely hammered out. And what does that mean? One block of gold had to be used for the menorah, and you needed to hammer out from it all the different parts. You weren't allowed to put it together from different pieces and then weld it together or some other ways of joining it. The Metzias HaMenorah be'etzem, Metzias Achas Mikshahi, the very being of the menorah is essentially one entity. It's all hammered out as from one thing. It's one solid piece. Even more so. Even when it's divided into distinct and separate levels. From its leg until its blossom, that the leg is the yerecha, which is literally thigh, but it means the lower leg, upircha, and when we talk about the blossom, these are talking about the blossoms that are on top of the menorah. The idea of blossoms, the idea of flowers and things that bloom, show on beauty. The tiferes or aguf shalomayla maregel. The idea of tiferes is the body, the trunk that's beyond the regel. K'mayim tiferes gufa, like we say in Paschal Yom before Mincha on Erev Shabbos, that tiferes is the actual trunk, and then there's beneath the trunk. So therefore we have yerecha, which is the extremities, the regel, and then you have the higher level, which is the trunk. So we see that yerecha is going on the lower level and pircha is going on the higher level. Another indication that pircha is talking about a higher level, the pircha hem gedoylei hatzadikim. The meaning of blossoms, the blooms and so on, that's showing on the great tzaddikim kimevorbal to the Torah sham, like it's explained over there in the Torah on the parsha. Hanikroim pircha. Why are they called the blossoms? Al shem shetirasim et filasim parachas la'ela, because they're learning and davening from the word not blossoming, but it flies. Pricha could also mean flying. It flies upwards. Through their awe and love, that these are considered the wings, like we have in Tanya, that the love and awe of Hashem are considered two wings that causes the mitzvahs to fly upwards. So that is the pircha, are those that their Torah mitzvahs fly upwards, in other words, the great tzaddikim. So despite the fact that there are different levels amongst the Yidden, there's the lower, not just the 7 kinds of the 7 neighbors, but in the menorah, there's the leg of the menorah, and then there's the body of the menorah, the blossoms, the tzaddikim. Haregam oz mikra, he's still in all considered one hammered out piece. Trying to say mitzias achas, they're essentially one entity. This is also what it brings over here, that the menorah was made out of gold. Because through thinking in and contemplating the matter, called Yisrael and Mikshachas, that Yidden are entirely one entity. Through that we come to what's brought down the expression that like the gold is more precious and more valuable than silver. And Chassidus explains in Avoida, what is gold and silver? The kesef of b'chinas ava. Kesef is the level of love, like the word kesef from the word kisufim, desire and yearning. The hainu avam soteres sheyesh b'tamid b'leiv kolish Yisrael. There is the innate love that's always there to be found in the heart of every single Yid. And beyond that, there's the level of Zahav, Masha'enkin Zahav, Uina Yira. The Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya that Zahav, gold, is a level of awe. One of the connections is, it says that gold comes from Mitzaf and Zahav Yasa. that gold comes from the north. The north is the level of left. If you look towards Mizrach, south will be on the right, and that was the avoid of Avram Avinu, was Halak from the Soya Hanegba, he was the avoid of Chesed, and Saf in the north, that's the level of the left side, the level of Gevura, which is the level of Yira. And that comes about, that's not innate, that is something, she's a boy there, is bonus chulu. This is something that comes through a person's meditation and contemplation. We're talking about over here an awe that's greater than the love. The inner type of awe, and the awe of being embarrassed before Hashem, meaning that we know that in awe of Hashem, and there's two types of level of Yira. There's a Yira Ilah and Yira Tata, and they are in an ascending order. The Yira Tata is the basic awe of Hashem, the basic Kabbalah soil accepting Hashem. That is a level, that is the lowest level. That is even before we have the level of love. And then in love there's two levels, and then finally, once we get to the highest level of love, we can then approach the Yira Pnimis, Yira Boishis, where he's in a state of embarrassment before Hashem. It's an inner embarrassment that comes out of his bonus. So he's saying that when a person meditates in this level of that all Yidden are one, he reaches the highest level of awe of Hashem. And then afterwards he continues in the pasuk and repeats it miksha, because first he says and then again he says miksha. That's so he's repeating twice the idea of miksha. What's the idea that he repeats it a second time, miksha? With this he comes to teach us an additional point. Like we actually learn out in the Gemara Menachos, miksha the seif elamai also. Why does he have to say a second time miksha? So the Alter Rebbe learns out his own thing, not what the Gemara Menachos is. In the Gemara Menachos, we see that the fact that it says it miksha again, we have to learn out from it something. The Alter Rebbe explains Shezeu masher kol Yisrael tzrichim lias ba'achdas gemura zeh im zeh sheloi lahabit bero'as chaveroi. The Alter Rebbe says it's the first miksha is the actual state. Yidden are all one entire entity, even though there's all these different things. The second is the result of that, and the command that results. That because of this, we have to act as in a miksha state. We have to be in a complete unity, one with another, and not to look and to view the bad of another person. This means to say, the Zeh shall call Yisrael in miksha achas. Not only the fact that Yidden are considered one is because there's a special advantage in the foot over the head, like it's explained in a different place, that the head needs the foot. So therefore, we are one entity. You can't have a head without a foot. You can't have a foot without a head. They need each other. There are certain things in the foot that the head needs the foot. Without the foot, the head cannot do them on his own. So we're saying a further state, not just that the head needs the foot, even more so. The unity is in such a way that he shouldn't even look at the bad of his fellow. The Alter Rebbe explains this just like in the making of the menorah in the literal sense. Rashi explains it was a round loaf of gold, and he would use a hammer to hammer it out. And through the hammering it with this hammer, the gold that was on top could descend below, and the golds below could ascend and go to the top part. So a person needs to know in himself, above in the spiritual spheres, where there is the neshamas come from, there is also this level of the hammering out. Sha'elyin yored lamata v'atachten yored lamata. The one that's above descends below, and the ones below ascends above. Shahara yored lefamim lamata v'nichnas b'adam ra. When we see bad in a person, it may not be something that belongs to him. It may actually be coming from a higher, a higher person. It may be coming from a good person that his bad entered into the bad person. And the hepech asiyas eze mitzvah mi adam ra lefamim oila lamayla v'noit la'acher. Sometimes there could be the doing of a mitzvah of a bad person, and the good enters someone else. In other words, the Alter Rebbe is saying here an amazing thing. A person is looking at someone else with a negative eye, and he's saying, look at him, he does so and so. But in truth, that negative thing that I am seeing in someone else might very well be that it came from me that entered him. So it's really, I'm seeing my bad in him. This is similar a little bit to what Baal Shem Tov says, that every person is a mirror, what their own bad they see mirrored back to them. Then there's an opposite thing, also an amazing thing, that really the good that I'm thinking I'm attributing to myself may actually be coming from that bad person. So I give myself credit for the good, and I'm looking at him that he's doing bad. Could be the bad is not his bad, it's my bad. Could be the good that I'm doing is not my good, it's his good. And therefore, and every person has to hang the deficiency in him. When I see someone else doing bad, I should say it's coming from me, really. And as far as being self-satisfied with my good, she says, no, I can't be satisfied with my good. Maybe it's someone else's good that came up from his level to me and entered me. And the fact that I see bad in others, maybe it's my bad that descended into him. That's the second time that the pasuk is saying miksha achas. Not only in the root are they one thing, but also down here below, they are one entity. Until because of that, he should not even look at the bad of his fellow. He shouldn't look at it as something negative, because we're really one. Like the Alter Rebbe writes in the end of Tanya, we have to feel what it says, that a person about the bad of his fellow, you shouldn't even think in your heart. And when you don't think it in your heart, that is even higher than what many people speak about, not speaking negatively. But here the Alter Rebbe says, don't even think negatively about another. Top of the last page. Through this we fulfill perfectly and completely the idea of raising up the menorah towards the face of the menorah, that we said the pnei is also going on the pnimius ratzon elyon, that we truly bring it to the innermost level of Hashem's will. Through this we also come to the fulfillment of the conclusion of the pasuk, that it says that this is the way the menorah was made. Upirish Rashi, Misha also. Whoever did it, that's how it was done. Medrash Haggadah, the Medrash says, Idea Kadosh Baruch Hu Nasis Meila, that was done by itself from Hashem. It rose out of the fire by itself, because Moshe Rabbeinu had difficulties with creating it. We could say the inner meaning behind it, that it came by itself, or who made it. So either it was a person that made it, or was it Hashem? Who did it? So he says, initially it has to be the avodah from below, in the way of an inspiration down below, whoever did it. Afterwards, we come to the medrash. Shehu inyan soidus HaTorah. The idea of medrash is all the secrets of the Torah is there. Sheba Agadus roiv soidus HaTorah gnuzim b'hem. The Alter Rebbe says in the Agadata, the majority of the secrets of the Torah are concealed in it. Hainu apnim shalomayla. This means that from this rusla asata of doing what we have to do, we reach the pnimius of above, the innermost level of above, just like the secrets of the Torah is the inner level of above. That the matter comes down the way it's through the Eibishter, but there is in a way of an inspiration from above. Until we come to the coming of Mashiach, should come and redeem us and lead us upright to our land soon, Mamash.